Antoine Lavoisier said something very close. Rien ne se crée, rien ne se perd. Nothing is born, nothing dies. It's exactly what we see in the Heart Sutra. The nature of everything is the nature of no birth and no death. Birth and death, being and non-being, are just creation of our mind. All these notions cannot be applied to reality. Some Christian theologians describe God as the ground of being. That's not a good way to describe God. Because if God is the ground of being, who will be the ground of non-being? God, the ultimate, transcends both the notion of being and non-being. And therefore, to be or not to be, that is not the question. Because reality, the ultimate, transcends both the notion of being and non-being. We can consider be as the beginning of the cosmos, of the universe. The Big Bang. Big Bang. And you might think that before the point, the cosmos did not exist. And after the Big Bang, the cosmos continued until it arrived at point D. It is the big crunch. And then the universe, the cosmos, will pass into the realm of non-being. According to the Buddha, that's not right thinking. Because reality transcends both the notion of birth and death, being and non-being. So when we look into a cloud, and with mindfulness and concentration, if we are concentrated enough, we will touch the nature of no birth and no death in the cloud. And we can see the cloud as it is, and not a mental construction. Everything we see in terms of being and non-being, birth and death, is a mental construction. That is why Nirvana is the absence, the removal of all notions, including the notion of being and non-being, birth and death. Suppose we speak about a flame. Let us do some meditation on the being and the non-being of a flame. This is a match box. And we may see the flame, a flame hitting in the matchbox. Shall we identify our little flame as something belonging to the realm of non-being now? Because we don't see the flame yet. And that is why we think that the flame is not there. But looking deeply, we see all the conditions for the flame to manifest are already there. Not only inside of the box, but also outside of the box. Outside of the box, there is oxygen. Without oxygen, a flame cannot manifest herself. So we know very well, and we can already begin to talk to the flame. My dear little flame, we know that you do not belong to the realm of non-being. You are already there. I don't need a sign, a mark in order to recognize you. Why don't you manifest for us? And the flame, if we listen deeply, we can hear the answer of the flame. Dear Thầy, dear Sangha, I'm ready to manifest. All the conditions are sufficient. Now I need the last condition, a movement of your finger. So we are going to provide the flame with that last condition so that she can manifest to us as a sign. And now shall we ask the question, my dear little flame, do you belong to the realm of being, or do you belong to the realm of non-being? Where have you come from? Have you passed from the realm of non-being to the realm of being? My dear little flame, where have you come from? That is a good question. And if you listen carefully, you will hear something like this. Dear Thầy, dear Sangha, I have not come from anywhere. I have not come from the south, neither from the south, nor from the north, nor from the east, nor from the west. My nature is no coming. When conditions are sufficient, I manifest. I have not come from anywhere. And that is why we recognize that no coming is also the true nature of the flame, or of the cloud, or of the cosmos. It does not come from anywhere. When conditions are sufficient, it manifests. To manifest is an expression that can transport reality better than to be born. In Buddhism, there is a school of thought called the school of manifestation only. You are not a creation, you are only a manifestation. You are free of birth and death, you are free from being and non-being. Now should we ask another question, my dear little flame, where have you gone? And we hear, dear Thầy, dear Sangha, I have not gone anywhere. I have not gone to the south. I have not gone to the north or the east. When conditions are no longer sufficient, I stop manifestation to manifestation in a different way. And we know that the flame is right. Her nature is no coming, no going. Her nature is non-local. So the ultimate reality is free both from the notion of birth and death, the notion of being and non-being, the notion of coming and going. So questions like where the universe come from, where the universe will go to, what happened after we die, where we shall go. All these questions should be asked in the light of the insight, of the right insight, right view. And there is another pair of opposite. Now we have two flames. Now we should ask the second flame. My dear little flame, are you the same with the other flame, or you are a different one? And if we listen carefully, we hear this, dear Thầy dear Sangha, I am neither the same with the other flame, I am not a different flame either. And that is true. Because everything is changing. And we have at least 4 pairs of opposite. Birth and death. Being and non-being. Coming and going. Sameness, otherness. When you look into the family album, you can see your picture when you were 5 years old. And looking at that 5-year-old girl, you ask the question, am I the same with that little girl, or I'm a totally different person? You are quite different from the baby, the 5-year-old girl. In form, in feelings, in perceptions, in mental formations, in consciousness, you are quite different. You have grown up into a 30-year-old lady, 40-year-old gentleman, and you are quite different from the little boy or the little girl. And the question you pose, you ask, am I the same with that little boy, little girl, or I am a totally different person? So the answer is not the same, but not a different one. That is the middle way. And the teaching of the Buddha is the teaching on middle way, transcending all pairs of opposite. And right view is the view reflecting the middle way. We are advised to look deeply into the Four Noble Truths in that kind of insight. You have to see that when we look into the truth of ill-being, we can see the path leading to ill-being. We can see also the cessation of ill-being, namely well-being. And we can see the path leading to the cessation of ill-being. It is like when you look at a lotus flower, you have to see everything that has come together in order to make the lotus flower. And looking into ill-being, you have not seen the 3 other truths. You have not seen ill-being either. And that is the practice. Suppose you look at this rose. And looking deeply with mindfulness and concentration, you discover the fact that a rose is made only of non-rose elements. You see a cloud inside. There is the cloud inside the rose does not have the form of a cloud, but she's well in the flower. If you remove the cloud from the flower collapses. And the flower still is still interacting with cloud, inside and outside. Looking into the rose, you see the sunshine. There is no form, sign of sunshine that you can recognize, but you know that sunshine is there inside of the rose. And if you remove the sunshine, the rose collapses. And if you continue, you see the earth, the mineral, even your consciousness. Because the rose is, first of all, an object of your consciousness. A rose might be a mental construction only if you are caught by the outer appearance. So we can conclude that a rose is made only of non-rose elements. And if we remove the non-rose elements, there is no rose left. The whole cosmos have come together in order to help the rose to manifest as a wonder. And in the rose, you see the whole cosmos. You see Mother Earth, you see Father Sun, you see the stars, everything in the cosmos in the rose. And if you can get in touch with the rose deeply, you get in touch with the whole cosmos. The rose is full of the cosmos. It is only empty of a separate existence. Lavoisier comes very close. He said, rien ne se crée. Nothing is born. There is no birth. Rien ne se perd. Nothing can die, including our cloud. Tout se transforme. Everything changes. And we see the teaching of impermanence, we see the teaching of no birth and no death. But if you accept these three propositions, rien ne se crée, rien ne se perd, tout se transforme, you have to accept the fourth. Nothing has its own existence. Rien n'a d'existence propre. Because this truth can be seen already in this one, and this one. A flower can not be by herself alone. Nothing can be by itself alone, including the cloud. She has to interbe with everything else. She's empty of a separate existence, empty of self-nature. Svabhava. When we say that things are empty, it means they are empty of a separate existence. They are empty of self-nature, empty of own being. Own being. So the concentration called the concentration of emptiness shunyata is a kind of practice that can help us break through and get the right view. And the second kind of concentration that can help us is the concentration of signlessness. We perceive things because they have a sign. We call it a rose because it has a sign of a rose. The Sanskrit word samsnya means perception. It also means a sign, a designation, a conventional designation. A name, a sign, a perception. We have a very beautiful Chinese word for perception. Below here, you have the word mind. And above here, you have the word sign. Your mind caught that sign, and you have a perception. And if that sign is not there, there is no perception. But looking into the flower, you know very well that the sunshine is there, but there is no sign of sunshine. You know that a cloud is there, but there is no cloud in its usual form. You have to see the cloud and the sunshine without form. You don't need a form in order to recognize a thing. And that is the practice of signlessness. Suppose we speak of a cloud in our meditation hall. We don't see any cloud here. But that does not mean that a cloud is not here. There's a lot of cloud here. We are breathing out a lot of cloud. In the air, there's a lot of humidity. There's part of vapor. The cloud is well here. It needs some cold atmosphere to get in touch with, and then a cloud will manifest in a way that you can see it. So perception means you need a sign. And when the sign is there, you believe that it belongs to the realm of being. When the sign is not there, you do not conceive it and you qualify it as belonging to the realm of non-being. That is wrong thinking. And the third concentration you may like to practice is the concentration on aimlessness. Aimlessness in the Sanskrit term, it means apranihita. Apranihita means you don't place something in front of you and run after that. There's no aim, no running after anything. It's like a wave on the surface of the ocean. As a wave, you can be described as having a beginning and end. You can describe a wave in terms of going up, going down, being or non-being, high or low, more or less beautiful, beginning and ending. But it is very possible for a wave to live her life at the same time as the water. She can live the life of a wave and to live the life of water at the same time. The moment when the wave realizes that she is water, she is free from all fear, all desire, all discrimination, all suffering, no complex whatsoever. Because these notions of beginning, ending, going up, going down, higher, lower, being and non-being, can be ascribed only to the wave. But these notions cannot be applied to water. And when the wave realizes she is water, she loses all her suffering. She is no longer afraid of anything. She enjoys going up, she enjoys going down. Her nature is the nature of not going up, not going down, not beginning, not ending, not being and not a non-being. She can get rid of these ideas and notions. She is free from all notions, and that is why she can be truly happy. But a wave doesn't have to go and look for water. She is water in the here and the now. So as a practitioner, we don't have to go and look for anything, including no birth, no death, no coming, no going, no being, no non-being, because that is the ground, our own ground. And that is, in Buddhism, we call Nirvana, the state of coolness, the state of non-suffering. And that is why practicing mindfulness and concentration, not only we can nourish ourselves and heal ourselves, but we can make a breakthrough in order to get the right view that will liberate us from all kind of fear and discrimination and anger. And that is why we can produce the kind of thinking that can be healing and nourishing for us and for the world, the kind of speech that can be healing and nourishing for us and for the world, and so on. And what is the definition of a human being? In Buddhism, we say that we are made of our own action. And action are of three aspects: thinking, speech, and physical action. The French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre said something very close. He said that l'homme est la somme de ses actes. Man is the totality of his action. And action here has three aspects: producing thought, producing speech, and producing action. And in Buddhism, the word for action is karma. when we produce a thought, that is already action. A thought of hate, of despair, can lead us to committing suicide or killing another person. A thought of compassion and non-discrimination can begin to heal us and heal the world. So that is the first kind of action, just thinking. And a good practitioner is capable of generating or producing many thoughts like that during the day. Thoughts of non-discrimination, thoughts of compassion, forgiveness, that will help heal him, heal her, and heal the world. And she can do that because she already has right view. She is liberated from all these notions, including the notion of being and non-being, birth and death, coming and going, sameness and otherness. And every time we produce a thought, that thought can have an effect right away on us in the here and the now. And it can affect the world in which we live right away in the here and the now, and continue to have effect later on. When you produce a thought, after we have produced a thought or a speech, and that will be considered to be our continuation, because we are made of our action. L'homme est la somme de ses actes. And nothing is lost. We agree with Lavoisier that nothing is lost. And the first law of thermodynamics is that rien ne se crée, rien ne se perd. You cannot create matter. You cannot destroy matter. You cannot create energy. You cannot make energy disappear. As far as matter and energy is concerned, there is no birth and no death. There is only transformation, the transfer of energy. To transfer energy is possible, but to make energy or matter disappear is impossible. So when you produce a thought, you produce a speech or action, all these are your continuation. And when this body of yours disintegrates, you continue always, because it is impossible for you to die. You are like a cloud. You cannot pass from the realm of non-being to the realm of being. You cannot pass from the realm of being into the realm of being. You are like a cloud. Your nature is the nature of no birth and no death. And you cannot be described in terms of being and non-being. You transcend that. It is interesting to learn the Buddhist insight about time. Suppose this is the present moment. Where you produce a thought, when you say something. As soon as you have done that, the thought that you have produced, the speech that you have produced, go into the past. Because you continue to produce thought and speech. And going to the past does not mean it disappears, it continues always. Because it has an effect right now, and it will have effect later on. It's like a bank account. Everything you do, you think, and you say will be in your account. And there will be retribution. You think that it has come to the past, but in Buddhism we speak of vipaka. It means the maturation you took. What you produce in terms of thinking, speech, and action will continue to mature. You think that it has come to the past, but it will become the future. And one day, when it is totally ripe, you experience again. And that is retribution. Nothing is lost. And that is why we know that we can continue beautifully by taking care, making sure that what we produce in terms of thinking, speech, and action should be free from discrimination, anger, fear, despair. A good practitioner produces thinking on the ground of right view. She speaks on the foundation of right view, and she acts on the ground of right view. And that is why all these actions only bring about happiness, healing, reconciliation, and so on. So right view can be described as the wisdom, the insight that transcends all kind of discrimination, all kind of pairs of opposite, and that can be described also as the insight of interbeing. Interbeing is a wonderful word. In Buddhism, we have the word interpenetration. And we have the word interbeing. The Sanskrit term is sahabu. Sometimes translated by ku hu. And we can translate as co-being or interbeing. We have looked into a flower and we have seen that the flower cannot be by herself alone. She has no own being. She has no self-nature. She is made only of no flower element. The same thing is true with everything. The same thing is true with the Buddha. A Buddha is made only of non-Buddha elements. A lotus is made only of non-lotus elements. And Buddhism is made only of non-Buddhist elements. And that is why before you bow to the Buddha, you have to be very careful. You have to see the fact that the Buddha is made only of non-Buddha elements. You have to see the afflictions, the suffering in him that have been transformed into compassion, understanding, and joy. If you have not seen that, you have not seen the Buddha. And when you look into you, you have to see that you are made of non-you elements, like parents, teachers, food, culture, time, space, and so on. You are made only of non-you elements. When I was a 16-year-old novice, my teacher told me how to bow to a Buddha. My child, before you bow to the Buddha, you have to see the nature of emptiness of the Buddha. You have to see non-Buddha natures in him. You must see that a Buddha is made of non-Buddha elements, and you are in the Buddha. And when you look at you, you see that you are made of non-you elements, and you can see that the Buddha is in you. You have Buddha nature. If you are only you and the Buddha is only the Buddha, no communication is possible. Because the Buddha is empty of his own self. And because you are empty of your own self, that is why communication can be possible. And after that you bow. And communion between you and the Buddha will be real. Otherwise, that is only an imagination. The nature of emptiness. So you cannot be by yourself alone. You have to be, you have to interbe with the whole cosmos. And that is why looking into the flower, you see the whole cosmos inside of the flower. And looking into you, you see the whole cosmos in yourself. So getting in touch deeply with yourself, you get in touch with the whole cosmos. You don't have to reach out. And the same thing is true with perception. To perceive something, you need a perceiver and the object of perception.